So the creek is one of my favorite places for, oh gosh, so many reasons. When we were kids, right back here, there was a little footbridge, and it was honestly just an old scrap piece of wood that we found, and we put across the creek so we could go from this side to the other side. And even then, when I was a kid, I think I realized I could just play in the creek all day and completely and totally zone out. And like, I didn't think about anything, about homework, about school, about anything that would have been troubling my small little mind. I didn't think about it. I was just so focused on rocks and playing and lizards and just having a good time. And that I knew then, I don't think I knew that that was kind of being mindful. I think I just knew it felt good and it was fun to do, so I wanted to do it. Now, as an adult, I seek and I crave more of that time where I am in the moment, time where I'm not overthinking it, time where you're just focused on being happy, right? And not all the responsibilities that you have as an adult, because it seems like it's a never-ending list of, okay, I need to do this, I need to fix this, I need to pay this bill. And it, you know, life feels like a drag like that. It's what about that childlike innocence? What about that childlike feeling of nothing in the world but what you had to do? And it felt so good because you were literally only focused on the good. And a lot of that has to do with, as a child, the part of your brain that develops that makes you self-conscious and it makes you wonder what others think and all of that. Some of that's not there. So literally some of the ability to have those thoughts isn't there yet. Surely I should be able to go back to that childlike happiness and excitement and joy. And what did I do then that I'm not doing now? I think you can still tap into that childlike time and say, oh, it really honestly feels easier to just not give that stuff attention. Because I am a worrier, an obsessive compulsive type of person, and I overthink and overthink and overthink, I have to do something to combat that, something to erase that, something to change that. So the easiest thing to do for me is to keep busy, to stay busy. And I hear that all the time. You just got to keep your mind busy. You just got to keep your hands busy. Just get distracted. And I would always say to myself, that's not going to help the problem. It's like slapping a Band-Aid on your arm being cut off. That's not going to help. What if I can't get distracted? What if I can't focus on something else? And I never understood what people meant by telling me that. Oh, just think about something else. And then it's like saying, don't think about the pink elephant, but the pink elephant's still in the room. And it was only in my adult life that I understood what they meant. If you can get your mind distracted for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, you gain perspective. So it's not really about distraction, it's about perspective. Because if I'm worrying about something that I've got to do and I'm dreading it and I don't want to do it, and I'm thinking about here's all the bad things that can happen, and I know I'm not going to do a good job, I know I'm going to be distracted, I know I'm not going to be present in the moment to get this task done, I'm dreading it. If I continue to think like that, I have no perspective. The only perspective I have is the perspective of fear and worry and all the bad things that are going to happen. But if I can get this neat little thing in here called my brain to think about something else for 5 minutes, then when the thought comes back up, I have a different perspective. My perspective has changed because I'm not in that worry mindset anymore. All of a sudden it's drifted out, and when it comes back, I have a new fresh mindset to say, now wait a minute, here's some other possibilities other than fret and doom and the world's gonna blow up. So for me, distraction isn't so much about I'm just barely holding it together, it's about perspective. If I can change what's in my mind for 5 minutes, when it comes back up in 5 minutes, because it will with me, because I'm very compulsive, then in 5 minutes, I have a completely different outlook than I did before. You never, ever, ever have an emotion without first having a thought. Every single emotion you have has to come from a thought. You know, thoughts that wander in that are just stupid, like negative stuff, like what if I have to drive all the way to Asheville, what if I wreck on the way out there? You know, and that happens to all of us. We all have thoughts that we have nothing to do with, that aren't our own. We all have thoughts that are annoying or petty or jealous or just things that wander in, wander out that we don't like. And the difference with me is instead of wandering in and being like, that's just stupid, and wandering out, I'll take it and be like, why did that wander in? Am I really going to get in a car wreck? Which seems ridiculous when you say it out loud, but that's what this creek does for me. It gives me the perspective to say, now wait a minute. I'm the boss. I'm the captain of this ship, and I'm the boss of what comes in and what comes out. So whatever thought I'm having, like I'm gonna get in this car wreck because I don't want to have to drive to Asheville, it's as simple as saying, now wait a minute. I'm the boss, and I'm the filter. I'm the thought police. I'm the filter, and that's trash, and I don't want to listen to that. And I don't let trash into my party, so get out. Look how absolutely stunning it is. It's just so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. And I get to come here every day. Every day I can come here and I sit right out on the end of that rock. And when it's really hot outside, there's a hole right here, and I get in it. And it's somewhat deep. I mean, it's over knee deep. So anyway, just look how beautiful this is. The most interesting thing is I just grew up playing in the creek with all the other cousins. Like, that's just what we did. There was no one that kind of pointed out to me. There was no one that said, like, oh, this is a special creek, or oh, it's really pretty, you should like it. I don't know, this really, really tenderness developed in my heart, this really tender love for this creek, and it turned into an obsession. And I thought, I've got to find a way to do this. I've got to find a reason and an excuse into adulthood to come down here and play. This can't be a thing that I leave behind as a child. And so, essentially that's what I've done, but it may not be the creek for you. Like, you may love something else and chase it. If you love skateboarding, if you love racing, if you love bicycling or walking, whatever that thing is, do it. It's never been about the money. I need to live my life happily. I want happiness. I want satisfaction in what I do. And for me, this creek holds this unseen, only felt magic. And I believe that this creek does have magic because it's God's, and it's God's creek, and it's God's creation, and it's God's glory, and it's what God has made. He did this. So I believe that this creek just has this magic, and I've felt it so many times, and other people have felt it too, and they can't explain it. And so I thought, I've got to send that out into the world. What's the most important thing that I could do? And I could take this and send it into the world. So when someone buys a piece of jewelry from me, or they buy a rock, they're not just buying a rock. They're buying a little bit of that magic, a little bit of that love and that real tenderness that I have for this creek. The twinkle, that's what Pap would have called it. The twinkle, they're buying that. And if I could share just a little tiny piece of what that feels like, what this creek has done for me, how it's healed my little mind, then that's the payoff. The payoff is sharing that. One more thing to add. I don't even remember when the very first time I saw this creek was. I don't even remember the first time I laid eyes on it, when I was big enough to toddle down here. I don't know, but every time I look at it, it is like seeing it for the first time. Every time I come down here and look, it's like seeing it for the first time. And I think that is God's blessing to me. The beauty is just never lost on me, it's always here. This is my life. This is my blessing. This is God's greatest blessing to me, that every time I look at the same part of the creek that I've seen over and over, the same little part, it's like seeing it with fresh eyes.